Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising. Hello, and welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rose Gold, International Success Coach. And here at Wealthy Mind, we love to help you create and maintain a wealthy mind. So today I have with me Shane. Hi, Shane.
Hey, what's going on? How are you doing?
I am well, and that
Good.
is a very good thing to be able to say because not every day is that way, but I am well today.
That is awesome. That's great news.
Yeah. How about you?
Good, good. We're trials and tribulations of businesses. I got some other businesses I'm starting, so we're going through that, but all good stuff. At the end of the day, if I put it in perspective, I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at and have the team that I
Mhm.
have and the good things that are happening. So, a little bit of stress is kind of par for course when you're doing all the stuff that I got going on. So it's
Mm,
it's a healthy thing, not a bad thing at all.
definitely. So before we dive into that, tell the audience what do you do? Your full name, please, and what do you do?
Yeah, full name is Shane Barker. I'm a Leo. I like long walks on the park. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. You asked about me as an individual. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I have I do like long walks in the park though, but yeah, I have a long history in the digital space. So that's really where I kind of cut my teeth was digital marketing for my personal brand, shanebarker.com. We started a blog, I don't know, maybe 18 years ago. I had about 900 articles on there, really just
Mm,
helping agencies, entrepreneurs, people that wanted to know how to do things. We talked about our successes, our failures, really just kind of an open book. And so that's, that blog has been going on, like I said, for a long, long time. And then
mm,
I have other companies like Trace Shoes being, obviously all my branding right now. Trace Shoes, we help Amazon sellers remove critical reviews on their product listings. So that's something that, the reason we started that was just because people on Amazon can get attacked and there's things that can happen, a lot of nefarious things that can happen there. And we wanted to kind of even the playing field. It's already hard enough to run a business on Amazon, let alone if you're going to get attacked and if different things are happening. So my goal
mm.
there was to have a profitable business, but also just really to help people. That's always I was raised by hippies in California, so I'm a hugger and I'm that guy. Like when I see people, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Are you a hugger? Like, can we bring it in close?" So I've always been I was raised to help people, and so that's always been a very big component in anything we do. I feel like if you do good things for people, that it'll come back to you tenfold. And I don't
Mm,
necessarily do that for the tenfold. I just do it because
right.
it's like, hey, if I can help somebody, because this is how they feed their family, and if I can help them save that business or make it better, I feel
Hmm.
like that's I owe them that to be able to do that. So yeah, so that's a little bit of my background. I used to own a bar in Chico, California. Had a business that I built in 2 years up to $25 million, had 130 employees. So I've done a lot of different things.
Hmm.
I mean, we could talk about 10 hours on all my failures. That would be a long podcast. My successes are a little smaller, and they're there, and I've had some good ones. But I was when we talk about successes, I don't ever want people to think that I've only had successes because if anybody tells
Right.
you they've only had successes, you probably want to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Yes, they're
Unless
so
they're like
full of
3 months old.
shit.
Exactly it. Yeah. It's
Yes.
like, unless they just started 2 weeks ago and they just haven't really gotten the thick of it. Like at the end of the day, my successes or my failures have probably helped build me more than my successes have just because of I learned something through that whole process. And so that's always been
Mm,
big for me is like, if you fail, people go, oh, failure. And I'm like, is it really failure? I mean, if you learn something from it, there's some value. There's value in everything,
hmm.
no matter what it is, right? Just got to understand what that is and sometimes it's a little hard when you're in the belly of the beast. But for me, I look at things and, like I said, being raised by hippies, but just more, being open minded and looking at the positive side of things has helped me
Hmm.
in life. Has absolutely helped me in life.
I agree 100%. So there's a couple things that you touched on that I want to bring back to the surface. So as entrepreneurs, we face a lot. We have a lot of struggles and challenges and good things that happen too. but you talked about being grateful for it. It's like
Mm,
we should be grateful for these challenges that we face as entrepreneurs. Like, hands down, we are privileged enough to have a business and have the opportunity to potentially build something that is successful. So, gratitude is massive.
it is. It absolutely is. I mean, it's important to understand what you're going through, and then, how do you make it better? You have to learn from your experiences, right? And so I think being
Hmm.
a business owner, and really just anything in life, like things happen to you, and a lot of it's perspective, right?
Hmm.
You can go, and it can be a terrible thing, or you can try to look at it, which is very easy to say when you're not going through something, right? It's like, oh, just be more positive. It's like, oh, okay, but maybe some of these things are really big, but it's like, how do you assess the situation and be able to try to look at it either A, from outside of what's going on, or once again, talking with people, as you've talked about, like with your neighbor, where you guys have these kind of sessions and times when you can talk and get a third party where they're not in the belly of the beast. They don't really maybe understand your business as well as you do, and then they can help talk you, look at other perspectives and things like that, which I think is very, very important, because when we're in the middle of it, it's very difficult to look at it and say, okay, how do I pull something positive from this? Why am I dealing with this? Why is this
Hmm.
happening to me?
Hmm.
And then when you talk to somebody else, and they go, oh, I think it's pretty simple. And they put it in layman's terms, you're like, okay, that makes sense. This is a learning lesson. And I've got to,
Hmm.
it might suck a little bit, might cost you a little money. There's some things that might happen because of things that have happened, but at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing. I mean, you're going to be, you started here, things are going to happen, you're going to go here, you're going to go here. Those are all growth moments. So they're important to understand and be able to evaluate, and then figure out how you can make things better the next time.
Yes, or like me and my neighbor, we're gonna do a little potato garden to distract ourselves from life's challenges. So,
Yeah.
um, sometimes talking it out is great, but sometimes like an activity to distract yourself in a healthy way
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
is even better, right? Because then clarity comes when you're not obsessing over your challenges.
Yeah.
So the other thing that you brought up is the failures. And for me, I don't see them as failures. I see them as pivots.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's like an opportunity to pivot. I'm like, okay, this isn't working anymore. Where do I need to pivot? How do I need to
Yeah.
adjust this? Or I tried this thing and it's not working at all. How do I
Yeah.
pivot, right? So
Well,
that's my mindset.
and that's an opportunity, really, at the end of the day. I mean, I look at things like, if I give you an example, like if I was going to go hire somebody and I hired them and they quit after the first week for whatever reason. Imagine if you had that person working at your company for a year or two, and you didn't, and they weren't providing for your company the way you want them to, but you're like, ah, it's just too much to get rid of them. You could keep them. Like, a lot of things happen early on, which can be frustrating, but it also can be a blessing, right? If
Mm,
somebody quits, or you decide not to hire somebody, it's like, well, there was probably a reason for that, right? So
mm,
everything can be, not to be Mr. Everything can be positive, but because not everything, no, it doesn't always feel positive, but it's like, okay, this has happened before. How do I get out of it, right? How do I make this
mm,
right? Or what do I need to do
mm,
to fix it? And
mm,
most things are fixable. And I think that's where we sometimes get lost in our sauce of like, oh man, it's so frustrating. Oh, these things are happening. And it's like, well, you've had a million people that have dealt with the same situation have gotten out of it, right? It's
mm.
kind of like my analogy. This is a funny one. So I went a long, long time ago. I jumped out. This was in Europe. I jumped out of it was well, it was pretty much a ski resort, but you jump out and you do a little bungee cord jump. And I was scared to
Okay.
death. And the reason I'm telling you this is I looked at this, and there was the girl, it had to have been 11 years old, that was going before me. And I thought in my mind, if she can do this, right? Not because she's an 11-year-old girl, but because she's just like doing, I was like, and I'm scared to death. Like, if she can do it, I can do it, right? So I looked at this thing, that was like my motivation. And so you got to look at things and say, okay, like, other people have gone through this, right? And survived, right? Not just because she's 11 and a girl, but it's just because I was like, she's just going for it, right? Like, it's like, man, I want, like, she's making it happen, and here I am in the corner, scared to death and shaking like a leaf. And I'm like, wait a second, not that I need to, like, not be fearful, but it's like, hey, listen, other people have done this and haven't died, right? Or at least they didn't tell us they died. And so I should be able to do this, right? This should be something. Now, I've only done it once. Will I do it again? No, because it's off my bucket list. But my point is this happens to people, right? Women, if we're worried about a pregnancy, okay, awesome. But guess what? There's been millions of, well, maybe billions at this point, obviously, that have had babies. You're going to be
Mm,
okay. You're going to go through some things, right? My wife is a labor and delivery nurse and retired now. But my point
mm,
is like, yeah, that's very stressful. But guess what? like be glad you weren't having a baby 100 years ago when there was no anesthesia and they would just give you a piece of wood to bite on as you're having a baby. I think it was, it's a that's scary. That sucks. But these days with medicine and everything, so once again, I look at it and go, okay, have other people gone through this and been successful and made it through?
Hmm.
Yeah, they have, and guess what? I can do it too. Doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. Can still be
Right.
hard, but it's like, hey, I'm not the only one to have to deal with this, and other people have made it out. And maybe some people haven't made it out, but guess what? I want to be on the latter side. I want to make it out, right? I want to be able to make that happen. So it's taken me a long time to have that kind of outlook on just personal life and on business.
Mm,
And I think it's helped me look at things through a different set of eyeballs because I have been through a lot, as we all have,
mm,
through business and personal stuff. But the assessment on how I'm going to make it better, fix it, let it go, whatever that may be,
hmm.
is something that's taken a long time. And I'm still a student of the game, right? I'm not perfect by any means. I don't laugh at everything that happens. If it's, if I just lost all kinds of money or something bad happened, I don't go, ha ha, it's just, it is what it is. I mean, I'm still a very emotional human being, but
Hmm.
I do need to look at it and say, okay, as I'm dealing with this, how do I need to figure this out? And as you said, like your neighbor, it's always nice to have a third party, somebody to be able to add some light to the situation. When you're in the middle of it, it becomes difficult. But I do believe there's a positive outcome or an outcome that could equal more positivity down the road.
Oh, definitely. There's always a solution, but we have to get out of the fear. That's the problem, is that most people, they're like, something went wrong, and then they go into fear mode, and you
Yeah.
do not see clearly. You cannot find
Yeah.
the solution when you're stuck in fear mode. It does not make your brain work the right way.
Yeah.
It takes you away from the problem solving aspect of your brain, but also the ability to just clear everything and let a solution come in. Like if you're obsessing over something, the
Yeah.
solution doesn't have space to squeak in there.
Yeah.
And this is why things happen when you're taking a shower, you're going to the bathroom because you're focused on something else, right?
Yeah.
So it's the nature of the game, but gratitude is a huge gap or is the bridge. Like the
Yeah.
gratitude is the bridge between fear and the solution. So
Mm.
if you're in a fear mode right now, to get yourself out of it, express gratitude. Like, I'm grateful for my business. I'm grateful for the solution, even though I don't know it yet. It's coming. There's good in this experience. What can I
Yeah.
take away from it? What can I
Yeah.
learn from it? So there's a lot that we need to work on daily, and it's a daily thing. It's not just once. It's not saying gratitude once and then you're good for the rest of your life. It's every single
Yeah.
day. You have to work at it.
Putting things in perspective, for sure. Absolutely. You have to look at what are the good things that are happening in your life. And I do think that is important. It doesn't take a lot of time, right? Of just saying, hey, I'm happy for this, these relationships, these people. And that sets you off really on your day in the right foot because now you're thinking about the good things that are happening. There's going to be some negative things that are happening as well. But if you focus on the things that bring you joy and you feel very fortunate because you met somebody or something's happening or you just brought on a new client or whatever that may be, whatever, brings you some joy, you can't let
Mhm.
those things slip by because a lot of us we do think a good thing will happen and it just slips by. We don't really think, man, that's really awesome if that happened to me. And I was a big component of that because of these things that I did that
Mhm.
equaled a good solution, whether that be money, time off, new friend, whatever that may be. But
Mhm.
there's some value in that, and you gotta, it's like stopping and smelling the flowers, which I know is very cliche, but it is. It's important to like really understand the good things because I can promise you there's probably more good things than negative things that are happening to you, but you just a lot of the times we focus on the negative things, right? We
Mhm.
miss out on the good things. So it's like, wait, I had 10 good things happen. I didn't think about it. I had one bad thing, and now I'm hyper focused on that. Right.
Mhm.
And and I keep bringing up your neighbor, but your neighbor and doing the gardening thing,
Mhm.
that's when clarity happens. No different. You said the shower or using the restroom, whatever. It's
Mhm.
when, like, for my mind, and I think most people work this way, if I'm trying to remember something and I'm just whatever it is, especially now that I get older, but as I try to focus on something, try to remember something, I mean, you're just racking your brain, right? It's like, man, and then guess what? When you go, you know what? I'm sure I'll figure it out. Guess what? A few hours later, a lot of the times it comes to you because
Mhm.
you're not
Mhm.
overly hyperly sensitive trying to focus on this thing, trying to remember what it was. It's like, all right, let me just let this go, see what I'm accepting, what's coming in. Great, maybe it'll be the solution. Maybe it takes a little longer. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, yeah, when you're in that like hyper mode, it's going to be very difficult for a solution to come about because you're freaking out a little bit. You got a lot going on mentally, and it's like, hey, if
Mhm.
you can somehow disconnect from that, you'll start to get some clarity a lot of the time sooner than later than if you're hyper focused and staring at something and just, oh my God, how do I fix this? Sometimes you do need to disconnect. For me, I go on walks. We have some beautiful lakes and stuff that are by us. I go on a walk, and I mean, for me, it's extremely important, not only for my business, but for my mental health.
Hmm.
I going on walks and being by water and being out, I know you're in Colorado. I mean, going out in the
Same.
mountains. Yeah, it's like, man, it can't get better than this. I mean, this is awesome. Like all this stuff that I got going on could be stressful, it could be money or whatever, but look at this. This didn't go anywhere. I still have this lake. I still have this water. I see a deer. I mean, those are all things that can help me bring me back down to earth, to be able to help deal with the things that are happening, whether it be, once again, relationships or money or whatever that may be. It is fixable. You just got to take yourself out of the situation a little bit. And gardening
Mhm.
is a great example of that. I'm looking forward to seeing what solutions you guys come up with through your gardening efforts, not to mention just potatoes, but all the other upsides from the potatoes.
Definitely. So you have a business that really helps with one of the stressors in business. And I'm going to say it that way because that's kind of how we open the conversation. If you have a product or a book or anything on Amazon and you get negative reviews, that can really impact your sales. So Shane is very passionate about helping to scrub those negative reviews.
We are. We are very much so. Yeah,
So
I mean,
let's tell the audience the name of that business,
yeah, yeah.
why
So
you
then
started it, when you started it, all the things.
let's do that. We'll go into a deep dive here. So the company is called TraceFuse.ai. And really the reason why we started TraceFuse was about 5.5, 6 years ago. And really the goal was I had clients of mine that were in the, e-commerce space that were direct to consumer, did a lot of consulting there. And I was always intrigued by Amazon because of how quickly it was growing and said, hey, what are your biggest pain points with Amazon? Everybody's pretty much did the same thing. Reviews are kind of a pain point. And so I did a deep dive into that because I've always wanted to have like a SaaS-based product or something where we could, be able to help people, especially when it comes to reviews. Because back then it was a big deal. Now it's even more of a big deal, right? You got Trustpilot, you got Yelp, you've got Google, you've got Amazon, you've got everywhere you can write a review, right?
Mhm.
And so what I don't think people realize, and I think if anybody's listening to this and you are this person, is it's one thing to go and give somebody a bad review. Maybe some people it's warranted, it makes sense because they did this or did that, but understand the power of that review as well. I think it's important to understand what you're bringing to the table. And what I mean by that is this really can affect a business, right? And maybe that's what your goal is. Your goal is maybe to hit them in the heart, right? You want them to they ignored you and this happened, so you want to be able to make an impact. I do get that. I'm not saying don't write bad reviews because I think there is some value in bad reviews, even as a business owner. If I have a product that I'm selling, if I'm getting bad reviews, well, guess what? The value of that is, guess what? I can improve that product. Talked
Right.
about pivot earlier, right? Like, so now the product that I had 10 years ago and the product I have today is not going to be the same product. And if it is, you're in trouble because things are going to change a little bit, whether it be packaging, whether it be your offering, whether it be an improvement. Those are all things that are valuable, and those sometimes happen through reviews, through you talking to people. Now, it kind of sucks to have it online and for everybody to see it, but overall, if you're responding to it and you're, offering something positive, hey, this is something that we're going to take a look into and understanding the
Mhm.
situation, people can look at that and say, hey, nobody's perfect. Like I get that, right? You're assessing the issues. And so that's what with Trace Views, the reason we started it is because we were looking at reviews that violate Amazon's guidelines. And so what I mean by that is Amazon has its
Mm.
own set of rules. You can't mention competitors in a review. So I can't say, oh my God, I love these Nike Air Max, but I really miss my Adidas X1s. You can't
Mm.
do that because really what you're saying is, I like these, but I would much rather have my Adidas. And so people are going to go, well, I'm going to go buy the Adidas, right? So people were using that in nefarious ways. That wasn't a lot of people were using that because they wanted to push you over to Adidas, right? It wasn't necessarily their true opinion. Can't mention pricing. So if I said, oh, I bought this whatever this hat for 29.95 on Prime Day. Now it's 49.95. This is a ripoff, but you can't do that because that was when it was
Mm.
on sale, right? And so that really affects sales. It
Mm.
affects Amazon, but it also affects you. So you can't do that, and you can't customer review. Nobody wants to hear that this was an effing blah 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 product. Those ones can be removed, and then also anything FBA related. So if Amazon ships out then and if it's shipped out late, broken, or used, those are all ones that we take a look at as well because that's not a problem with the product. That's a problem with shipping. And so what we were trying to do is there's some fraudulent stuff that happens, and we do fight that as well. The software does detect that. But what we were looking at is that we have a higher success rate with stuff where people are breaking the rules, whether they do it on purpose or not, right?
Mm,
So, I mean, I've had clients, big clients, come to us, and one of them in particular was an aggregator, kind of like a VC that would buy all kinds of Amazon businesses, and they had a product that was toxic, and they're like, "Hey, we need to get rid of this inventory. We got to sell it as quickly as possible." And I'm like, "Well, but it's toxic," and they're like, "Yeah, that's what we got to get rid of it." And I'm like, well, you mean like get rid of it, like the right way, right? Like through, through some kind of a no, we want to sell it. I'm like, what am I missing here? Like it's toxic. Like what happens if a kid or a mom or anybody drinks it or something happens? Like it's toxic. Why are we having this conversation? He's like, well, I think if we can improve the reviews, we could get rid of all the inventory. I said, no, I get what you're saying, but like
wow.
and I'm looking around going, am I being punked right now? Like, no, I'm not going to help you remove. I don't care I don't care if you gave me $1 million. Like, so we
Yeah.
could put toxic stuff back out there. So, those types of things are, we don't usually have to deal with too much when it comes to ethics and reviews, right? I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
our thing is this is Amazon's rules that need to be removed, and so that's what we go after
Right.
mainly. But
Okay.
I'm not going to help people for evil, right? Like there's just
Right.
no where, and he's admitting that. I'm like, I cannot believe you're telling me this. You're like, no, we should get rid of it. I was like, yeah, I think you should get rid of it too, but not by selling it. Our views are very different on
Yeah.
on chemical outputs and what you think the outcome should be, putting money in your pocket and then hurting people. So anyways, that's
Mm,
the idea of this is to make it better, right? In situations where Amazon said this isn't supposed to happen, it happens. We remove those reviews, and then that can increase sales and everything. But as I said, the fraud side of it, it happens, and we take a look at it. Some of the things we
hmm.
look at is if somebody comes and let's say you sell creatine as an example, right? So it's a supplement. Let's say that your creatine is very similar to your competitor's creatine. You guys have a lot very similar formula. Well, what we look for is if you, as a buyer, come and buy my product 5 times and only give it a 1-star review, well, the question I have to ask myself, and I'll ask
Hmm.
you, Misty, is
Hmm.
if you hate something on Amazon, right, and you give it a 1-star review, how many more do you buy? Just as a consumer, do you buy
Zero.
a hot zero, like no more? Like, why would you buy a second one, a third one, a fourth, and a fifth? So that's exactly what we look for. That triggers our system, and we go, wait a
Mm,
second. I call my spider sense. My spider sense is tingling a little bit. I'm like, I got to look into this. My team goes and looks at it, and if you just happen to be buying the competitors' products and only giving them 5-star reviews, except our creatine is 99% the same. Our creatine, you took it, you went to the hospital, you had diarrhea, you wear an eye patch, your toes fell off and all this. But then you took this creatine. Now you're running your personal best. Well, I thought your toes fell off. I thought you were wearing an eye patch. Like I'm being a little facetious, but like there's crazy stuff. So we go,
yeah.
hey, Amazon, statistically, this doesn't make sense. Like this doesn't. And guess what? I'm pretty sure I know who owns that buyer's account. It's usually the competitor because they're only
Uh,
giving them 5-star reviews, right? There's something there. So in that
mm,
situation, we would go to get the buyer's account removed, which means our clients lose their 1-stars, which means the sales go up, and these guys lose their 5-stars. So that's just
mm,
one of the ways that we take a look. My thing is to even the playing field. Because like I said, it's already hard enough to run a business, right? We already have 10 million things we have to deal with, whether it be inventory, tariffs, taxes, like whatever. There's a million things, right?
mm,
And now you have somebody that just happens to be a bigger player that has more money than you, and they're buying your products and attacking you and saying wrong things that are unethical. I
hmm.
have a big problem with that. I don't like that. If you have a better product than me and you sell more than me, awesome. I just got to improve. And if I don't improve, guess what? Then so be it. My kids don't get cheese on their steaks. It's fine. Or on their hamburgers. It's fine. But at the end of the day, as long as we're playing fair, I should have that opportunity. Things are going to happen naturally, but it shouldn't be from being attacked. And so it's turned into more of a, like I said, I enjoy money and I enjoy having a profitable business. But for me, it's a thing of evening the playing field for sellers. Because I just think that's important. Because, if you're an ethical person, you're doing a good business, then guess what? You're automatically going to have things you have to deal with. Oh, I don't need some big guy with tons of money that's coming in and attacking me just because he wants to make more money. Like I'm not.
Mm.
I'm going to fight for the small guys. That's just that won't happen on my watch. While you're a customer under Trace Shoes, anyways.
Yeah, I appreciate you explaining it because I'm like, how do you do this
Yeah.
legally? How do you do
Yeah.
this ethically? How do you
Yeah.
How do you remove negative reviews ethically? You can't just go in and scrub all of them. Some of them are
No.
legit.
And we don't want to do that. I mean, at the end of the
Hmm.
day, if somebody says, I want to get rid of all my we call critical reviews, which are one, twos, and threes, I
Mm.
go, first of all, we can't do that. And second of all, I wouldn't do that because there's some value to learn that. I know it hurts. I know it sucks. You got a bad review, keeps you up at night. I get it, but guess what? Everybody gets bad reviews. Things happen. If you get to a certain level, you're going to get a bad review. If you don't, if I looked at a product on Amazon and you've been selling for 2 years and you have 1,000 reviews and you're at a 5.0, I'm not buying your product. You know why? Because that's not real. There's
Mm.
no way you satisfied every single person. I can promise you that if you try to drink and I try to drink,
Hmm.
you might love it and I might go, I'm not a big fan of ginger. I'm just not,
Yeah.
right? And so, but that's the thing is like not everybody's the same. And some people are crazy, some people aren't crazy. It's like so you can't satisfy if you just started off, you've been doing it a month and you only sold 10 products. Yeah, maybe you have all kinds of happy people. Your mom, your aunt, everybody that bought it loves you. That's awesome. But that's
Hmm.
not the reality of the situation. You have to understand that there are going to be people that don't like your product for whatever reason. It can be, especially if if it's flavor based or if it's like a supplement or if it's a thing that you take and you didn't feel any better. Like these are things that we're as humans, everybody's different, right? We're all different. So I could take a supplement and say, oh my God, I felt so much better in the morning. You could take that same supplement and go, I still feel like crap. That's not, it didn't work at all, right? Like, and who knows? That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it really worked for you. You just lied at the end of the day, it just didn't work for you. And so we have to
Mm.
understand that that's going to happen. Like bad reviews are going to come, right? It's just
Mm.
how do we assess those and how do we make either the product better or how do you be more proactive and get more positive reviews so when a bad review comes in, it doesn't crush a launch, it doesn't crush you, doesn't keep you up at night. If I have 20 great reviews and I get one bad review, I'm not as emotional as if I only have one bad review. Because if I only have one bad review, are you going to buy my product? No, right? Because there's 10,000 other products that are very similar to mine, and you're like, well, this guy has something going on. I don't want to take the chance. I'll just go buy this creatine, right? Because it's like on this one, there's only one bad review, and why take the risk? I'll go with this guy because they have better reviews or they've been around longer. So bad reviews aren't the end all be all, and no, we would never go, even if we could, scrub every single review for any amount of money. It's just not, you don't learn as an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
You're putting
Hmm.
your head in the sand about some potential things that could be wrong where
Hmm.
you need to fix it. And there's some value in that. Of course, I know you'd rather just receive an email than have the whole world see it, but it is what it is.
And how you respond to that is so crucial. So, one of my masterminds is on Meetup, and I had some guy write on there like a 1-star review, and it was really negative. And he was like, I went and nobody was there. And the coffee shop that I use in the Denver Tech Center has a beautiful conference room inside of it. So, we use the conference room. Everybody at the coffee shop knows me. And the guy's like, nobody knew what I was talking about for this mastermind. And I'm like, okay. So my response was, you probably missed the date on your calendar because we are a professional group and we are there for every single meeting. If you want to come back and try again, please do so. We would love to meet you,
Yeah,
right?
that's a
So
perfect answer.
that was my response to him. And I know that it's crucial. How do you respond to the negative reviews? And it's like, you know what? I'm going to stand behind my mastermind because we're there for every single meeting. And I'm going to stand behind all the workers in the coffee shop because they know me. I'm there 4 days a week. Like,
Well, and the other upside of that is that if I was wanted to join your meetup, I see that I say, you know what? That's a great answer. Because what you could have said is like, hey, you sure you got your calendar right? Or were you even following your calendar? We were there, you weren't there, so maybe there's a reason why you missed out on us, and maybe you're not a
mm-hmm,
good fit for us. And people go, ooh, kind of went south a little bit on that, right? Like,
mm-hmm,
oh, why would you say, because now they're thinking, oh, is this how Misty is? Is this who the person is going to train me and help me in this world? Your answer was perfect, right? Is because it's like, hey, we were there. Sorry we missed you. Everybody at the coffee shop knows us, but we would love to open arms, right? There goes that hippie moment
mm-hmm.
again. Y'all still
Yep.
hug you, right? I still love you. Like I understand you wrote a little something, but now what you pretty much said is like, hey, we're still here to help you. And this guy just seems like he's not erratic, but just like for whatever reason he missed you guys. Mistake happened, not a problem. We still love you. Come on into the group, right?
Hmm.
Like that, and that way anybody else that sees that and says, oh, well, she seems to be a very positive person. That's the person I want to be around. I don't want to be around the person that says, well, screw you, and you probably weren't a
Yeah.
good fit anyways, like, right? And it's like, whoa, damn, like, that's not a way to be accepting. But I love that. A lot of people, the problem with entrepreneurs or people that own businesses is they take that very personally. And I understand that because I am a
Mhm.
very emotional human being myself. And so I have to usually step back a little bit and say, okay, like how would a rational person handle this, right? Because somebody said something, oh, your baby's ugly. And I'm like, oh, my baby's not ugly. Not really, but but it's like you take that very personally, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let me pull back and understand and really take assessment, have somebody else look at how I was going to respond because you don't want to write anything that's going to come back to bite you in the butt. And you've got to be real careful of that. I mean, you don't have to kiss
You
somebody's
do.
butt, but you
Yeah.
you you definitely have to maybe explain the situation or maybe add some clarity to it or have, hey, I'll look into it. There's a right way of doing it without making it because if
Hmm.
you get into that battle,
Hmm.
that person's going to win. You're not going to win as a business owner. You just won't. A high percentage of the time.
Right. Because they are responding emotionally, right? So
Exactly.
his negative review was an emotional response. He took it personally that he probably put the wrong day on his calendar and attacked me for it. I'm not going to repay emotional response with an emotional response. It's
Oh,
just not going to happen. But I am going to set my boundaries. I am going to stand up for my
yeah,
professionalism.
yeah.
And I am going to be the hippie that says, come back, we'll hug you, we'll kiss you, we'll sit you down, and you're going to have a great time. Like,
Shout out to all those hippies. I grew up, those God bless those hippies. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that the response is very, very important. In fact, that's one thing people don't realize is should I respond to a negative review? And you should. You absolutely
yes.
should, right? Because you want to be able to say, hey, it's something, figure out how you're going to assess the situation, what they dealt with. I've had people that have, that have attacked a brand and said, oh, I've been a customer for 2 years or put their name on there. Owners have said, hey, John Smith, I looked you up. I don't see that you're a customer with us, right? You seem very nice, but I
Hmm.
would love to, if you want to send me a personal email, here goes my email. I'd love to be able to assess the situation and figure out how we can fix it. But once again, I'm really hoping that we can fix this situation. Well, what you're really saying is you're probably not a customer and that you're probably somebody's trying to attack me, but I'm absolutely open to trying to figure it out. The same thing that you said. You were very, very
Hmm.
nice and said, I'm still willing to accept you, right? But really what you were saying is like, probably was your fault, right? Because we were there, right? Not giving you a hard time. I'm just telling you, just calling a spade, because if you didn't see everybody in the conference room, then that's a you thing, not a us thing, right? I wasn't
Right.
looking for you. You were looking for us. You didn't find us. Could be a number of things that happen. They're not sure what it is, but guess what? If you want to come next Wednesday when we're always there at 3 p.m., I'd be a little facetious, but right, I will. Once again, I got those arms out. I'll stretch them out, get ready for that hug, and you can bring it in close, and we'll make some magic happen, right? Like
Yeah.
that's really the goal.
I learned from watching like I'm an Amazon shopper. When Amazon came out, I was like, hallelujah, there is a God because I hate shopping. It's such a waste of time and I don't like going to the big box stores. Like I
Yeah,
am anti shopping, but Amazon saves me so much time. I've used it
yeah,
for years and years and years and years. And I know how to shop on Amazon really well. So I always go in and look at the reviews and I look at all the reviews, the negative ones, the positive ones, and everything in between. And I love seeing the responses
yeah.
from the business owner. And some of them are just like, wow, you're a business owner. You shouldn't be responding that way. But then some of them really stand out and they're like, damn, that was a really good
Yeah,
response.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
years of shopping on Amazon, I've learned
yeah.
how to respond well to reviews because of my experiences on Amazon.
But I love what you said earlier too. But it's not about, and you didn't say it like this, but it's not about just kissing somebody's butt or if they're
Mhm.
wrong, making it seem like they're right. Like at the end of the day, you still have to hold your ground, right? Like
You
if somebody's
do.
attacking you, there it's important to do because if you just tell everybody, "Oh, I'll just give you a free product," I'm sorry. Well, guess what? You're gonna have other people are gonna see that and go, "They don't stand their ground. I could definitely get a free product from this person," right? So you have to really make that assessment and say, "Okay, how do I handle this like an adult? If I know for a fact that this is not true, I
Hmm.
still want to stand my ground, right? I can say, "Hey, sir, you had that situation or that you went through that. Let me tell you how I'm going to make that right? Or what I'm going to look into." Because then I go, okay, they're not saying this didn't happen because we don't really know for the most part, right? Like we don't want to go and say you're a liar. Okay, well, now we've already gone down the wrong road. Let me take a look at it, even though you know in your mind that maybe they are lying. But
Mm,
the idea of it is if I was a third party looking at this, do I look like somebody that somebody would want to do business with, right? That I
mm.
right? And once again, I understand that things happen. You can have a hard day, a bad day, your dog just bit you, your wife just left, and you ran out of your IPAs that you drink on Wednesdays. I get it. Life can be struggling. Don't
A
write
country song.
don't, yeah, exactly. Just like a country song. Don't go write your response to that person. That is not the day. You
Oh.
wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Hopefully your wife comes back. You guys can figure it out if that's good. And then great, you write the review the next day. The
Mhm,
idea is step back if you are that person. If you're the person when somebody says something, you go to punch them, you got to pull back a little bit, right? You got to kind of give yourself a little space and say, let me breathe. Let me go on my walk. Let me do my thing. And then think about how somebody can respond to this that's eloquent, that still, addresses the problems, maybe even
mhm,
addresses that you don't think that it's real, but in the nicest way possible, where people can still look at it and say, okay, that's valid. This person
mhm,
didn't go off the deep end and say anything too crazy or do anything too crazy. So, it is definitely a talent to be able to do that and be able to assess that. But then you got to
mhm,
look at that and say, okay, now how do I make things better? Assuming you've got 10 people that say, hey, I don't know how to use this thing. I'm just going to return it, right? Okay, there's an issue. Maybe you get a QR code or you better instructions or you send them a video with everything they purchased, something where now I can help educate them on how to use the product better. And that's really, really big now, especially in the world of AI, right? Because now AI is picking up and looking at the sentiment. So, I mean,
mhm,
Amazon as an example, they have Rufus. So if you have your, one out of, well, let's say 9 out of 10 of your products are being returned, Rufus is going to pick that up and it's going to say a high percentage of these are automatically are returned. And people are going to go, no, I want nothing to do with that. So, right. So if you don't make that better, AI before, if you're not going to go through 1,000 reviews, right? I'm not going to do that. Rufus, now what it does, it goes through all those reviews and it comes
mhm.
up with a synopsis. So
Yep.
that synopsis could either be right or be wrong, but you got to be real careful of what that might look like, right? So AI is going to make it so now people can go, or the AI will go through all these reviews and give you a sentiment. And if that sentiment's not positive, you're going to have an uphill battle to try to make that right. Because AI, you can't call AI and say, "Hey, man, can you like change it up a little bit?" Right? Like, I mean, maybe in the future we can, but right now AI is like, I don't have a phone. Like, you can't call me anyways, right? So it is what it is, and you want to figure out how do you control the narrative there. And if you're hearing a lot of the
Mhm.
common things that are being said, maybe you need to go in and fix that, right? And then fix it, and then now more positive reviews will come in. But it's a delicate balance. It's a
It
process for
is.
sure. Yeah.
Or in my case, I asked all of my mastermind members to go and put positive reviews on Meetup for me, and that's what
Yeah.
they did. So if you have a product on Amazon, you can do the same. You can do a review blast to your clients or your customers and offset some of those reviews that may not be in your favor.
Yeah, and I tell people you want to do that. I always tell people you want to be more proactive than reactive, right? So what you're talking
Mhm.
about there is really setting up that moat around your product or getting a lot of like Amazon has a Vine program where you can go in and get positive reviews. People will Amazon picks people that write a lot of reviews and they get a free product and they go and they give you an assessment of their brand. Now, that doesn't mean every review is perfect and great. It's not. There's some people that are very
Mhm.
opinionated and that's fine. But what you want to do is you want to set a foundation of good reviews, right? And
Mhm.
whether that be past clients or whatever that is, whatever is compliant, obviously with Amazon's guidelines. But you don't want to just hope that nothing bad happens. Because I will tell you on Amazon, if you get one bad review, your lunch is done. There's almost
Mm.
no fixing it. Even if we go in and we get that removed, then you can be back on track. But the problem is just trying to get one review removed by Amazon can be a challenge.
Mhm.
I just tell people be more proactive than reactive. Reacting is one thing. Being proactive, knowing that if you have 20 reviews and you get a bad review, great, you went from a 5.0 to a 4.8. Not going to crush sales. That's not going to
Yeah.
kill you at the end of the day. You just keep going with what you're doing because the bad reviews will come in. It's inevitable. If that causes you stress and you can't sleep at night, I tell early on sellers that I talk to, it might not be the space for you. If you're if you're an empath and every review that comes through, you just can't sleep for a week, it's going to be some sleepless nights, a lot of them in a row, unfortunately, because things are going to happen. And so you have to figure out maybe that's not the platform for you if you're very
Mhm.
emotionally tied to that. Some people go, okay, I'm going to look at this. How do I make things better? It sucks, but it is what it is. And then you just move forward. So, you got to figure out
Mhm.
what kind of person you are, if you can handle it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making us laugh. And I appreciate your desire to help the business community. And this is a very, very specific way, but it's so important for us to make sure that we have the right approach to the reviews for our products or our book or whatever it is that we have on
Yeah.
Amazon. So thank you.
Of course, Missy. And this has been awesome. You are, I tell you, this is the second time I've talked to you. You have a very calming effect about you, and with the work that you do with your customers, your clients is once again, I was always been very impressed with that. So congratulations on everything that you've got going on and all the growth and all your plants in the back and all the fun stuff you guys are going to be doing. I'm looking forward to getting updates.
Yeah, it'll be great. So thank you for identifying something that just is a part of who I am.
Mm,
And it's great because entrepreneurs get worked up a lot and how I approach life and just my energy, it is calming for people. So
definitely is.
yeah, you're not the
Yeah.
first to tell me that, not the last.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's just it makes you, and if you're at a 10, when talking with you, I feel like I'm at a 2, just in regards to like if all kinds of stuff's going on, you have that very calming voice and obviously the knowledge behind that, which is awesome.
Thank you. Well,
Of
I
course.
appreciate the positive feedback and the words.
Yeah.
So if the audience wants to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Yeah. So I am. You can find me on LinkedIn. So it's just under Shane Barker. I'm a pretty active there. I get about like 600,000 impressions a month. So we're very active there. Same thing with X. I'm on there as well. X or Twitter, just Shane Barker. And then if anybody wants to reach out to me directly, if you have an Amazon business, obviously I can help you with do an assessment and give you a demo and show you what we've created. But my email is just Shane. That's Shane at tracefuse.ai, and that's tracefuse.ai. And then, but if you want to go on the other side of it and it's more consulting, guess what? It's just Shane at shanebarker.com. So very easy to just put my name in front of it or the URL is, and you can get in contact with me.
Awesome. Can they send you a message on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. Everybody and anybody can. If you have any questions in Amazon outside of Amazon, I used to teach at UCLA, an influencer marketing program. Whatever you have a question on, shoot me a message. I have no problem. I help everybody and anybody, and I'll even do it for free. I love it.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again and have a blast traveling.
You know I will. You do the same.
Yeah, I'm going to travel to Home Depot and look at stuff that
Boom.
I can grow.
That's it. I love it.
Well, thank you again for your time. All right, you guys, if you have a product business and you sell on Amazon, you need to hit up Shane, talk to him, reach out to him, ask him questions, and see if he is a good fit for your business to help you along the way. Thank you for being a wonderful, wonderful audience. We love you. And until next time, we will see you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.